Hi team, I'm Fitz Koehler, your very noisy race announcer for the OC Marathon weekend and your show host, and I'm a sport performance expert. So tonight it's just going to be you and me and our very fancy bodies and our very strong or soon to be strong muscles. And we are going to talk about strength training for runners, which is actually one of my favorite things to talk about as a fitness expert. And, you know, tonight my credentials matter to you. I have a master's degree in exercise and sports sciences. I've been teaching fitness for decades. And I very strongly feel that strength training is the fountain of youth. It is the thing that makes athletes athletic. And of course, we're runners, right? We run. Runners love to run. And that's one of our great gifts. We do the thing that everybody else says, gee, it's too hard. Running's hard. I can't run. I won't run. Okay, well, for those people, shame on them, or too bad for them if they're missing out or they can't do it. But for us, we get to run. We understand the great benefits, and we love the fact that it makes us feel like a kid again. And it burns a lot of calories, right? And it makes our heart strong and our lungs stronger, and it exerts so much stress. So running is wonderful. But one of the tragic flaws of the running community is runners tend to only run. And that means we're missing a big chunk of the bus on fitness because before we're an athlete, before we're a runner, we're a person first. And we're gonna target that today. So before I get too deep into the strength training conversation, I want to remind you that the OC weekend is taking place November 6th and 7th. So on November 6th at 4 p.m., we have the OC 5K. We'd love for you to come out. Not only you, but we'd love for you to bring your whole family. The 5K distance is one really almost anybody can do. And I tend to tell people, if you can roam through the mall for an hour, you can do a 5K. So bring the kids, bring the grandparents, bring your neighbors, bring everybody out. You can run as fast as you want, or you can walk as slowly as you want. It really can be a stroll. We're out to have a really good time, promote fitness, have fun. And that's about it. OC 5K, November 6th at 4 p.m. And then the next morning, OC Half Marathon starting at Fashion Island. And we have registration still available for both races. So you can do one, you can do the other, or you can do both. And of course, we would love to have you for as much of the weekend as possible. Okay, now I'm going to get into strength training. And I'm super excited about this because I love strength training. And, you know, I'd like to start off with a question because some people show up to the strength training conversation a little skeptical. They're thinking, I really need to strength train. Why is she telling me I should? Well, I'll ask you. On any given day, doing any given thing, would you rather be stronger or weaker? Go ahead, use the comment section. Wherever you are, feel free to use the comment section. We'll have a conversation. On any given day, doing any given thing, would you rather be stronger or weaker? In fact, is there any sport in the world where an athlete is benefited by weakness? Think about it. Football, gymnastics, swimming, soccer, tennis. Is weakness a gift in any of those sports? The answer is not no. The answer is hell no. Weakness doesn't benefit us. And okay, here we go. Warren Ward, you just lost your commenting privileges. Competitive eating. No way, dude. You need strong eating muscles. What do we have? Our stomach needs to be strong. Yeah, no more for you, Warren. You're cut off. But yeah, there actually is no benefit to being weak. And when it comes to fast people, and hey, listen, many of us can run far without running fast. I'm Exhibit A. I just ran my very first marathon last week. Whoop, whoop. I did Boston. I went really, really far, really, really slowly. And that took a lot of strength too. It wasn't just stamina. You bet your booty. It took a lot of strength. But for the speedsters, those who go fast, man, do they have the best muscles, right? Go to a track meet. And my co-announcer, Rudy Novotny, the other half of Team Noisy, He said it best one day. He said, if you go to a track meet, at least a good one, you'll be standing in butt capital of the world. Why? Because the speedsters rely on their glute strength and their quad strength to go fast. There's push, 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 push. They use those lower body muscles, and it's obvious. It's booty town, right? It's the best booties on the planet and legs for miles. So yeah, strength training matters, especially if you want to be fast. And there's some weird ones in the world that say things like, don't strength train if you're a runner, it'll slow you down. And it's just such an ignorant statement. So I'm not going to call out those people by names because you would know their names and then we'd all have to fist fight. But yeah, it's an ignorant statement. There is no benefit to being weaker. And I can tell you that strength will provide structural support. It will provide stability, and it will provide power. So what we're going to go over today are just targeted exercises. We're going to talk about the muscles you use most for running, how they work, and what exercises you should do for them. And right now I'm going to put out a link on both Facebook and YouTube. And this is a link to my strength training for runners workout. It's a 12-minute video that you can watch. It's a free resource. It's off of my channels, the Fitzness channels. But you can do this workout every other day for the rest of your life, and it will change the way you run, the way you live, really. It's a wise, it's just a great plan. It's a great plan targeted for runners. So we're going to talk about how those muscles work and what exercises you should do. But if you can't remember or you don't want to write it down, just watch the video. You can turn it on any time of day for free and follow along, and it'll get you where you want to go. Okay, so reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to use the comment section. I'm going to back up from my computer a little bit so I can show you some exercises. But yeah, if you have questions, I'll come back and I will answer them as quickly as possible. All right, so we are going to start with our big muscle groups. Now, if you are, wherever you are, stand up. No, stand up, get up. Get up. Okay, good. Okay, so we're gonna stand, and what I want you to do is just take one leg, hold on to an object if you don't have great balance, lift up your knee and hold it. Okay, now I want you to extend that leg and hold it. Good, now lift it higher, a little higher, hold, and put it down. How did that feel? Heavy, right? It felt very, very heavy. Why? Because each leg, most people, they say weighs approximately 30% of our body weight. And so if you're a very teeny tiny person, if you're 100 pounds, and I don't know any grown-ups who are 100 pounds, each leg probably weighs about 30 pounds. That's a 30-pound dumbbell. And what do you got to do with that dumbbell if you're running the half marathon? You have to lift that dumbbell. Each dumbbell you have to lift a little over 13,000 times, right? They say about 2,000 steps per mile. So over the course of a half marathon, that's 26 plus thousand steps. For a full marathon, over 52,000 steps. And so that's lifting a 30-pound dumbbell over and over and over, thousands of times. Now, what if you're not 100 pounds? What if you're 150 pounds? That's a 45-pound dumbbell. If you're 200 pounds, that's a 60-pound dumbbell. You have to lift, lift, lift over and over and over. So should this muscle, should the lifter be strong? I think it should be. I think it should be real strong. This is a hip flexor. Hip flexor is responsible for flexing the hip, which lifts the leg. And so that's how you work the muscle. You just lift the leg. So you could do something simple like this. Touch the toe, bring it up, and that is working your hip flexor. You can hold your knee high. You can hold your leg out. Just count to 10 and then put it down. Easy peasy, right? And what you're going to find as I go through these exercises is that they're all free and they require very little to no equipment. And therefore, you will have no excuses not to do them. I know, I'm such a jerk. Listen, I don't accept excuses with fitness. And why? Because fitness matters. And oh, and I forgot to say this. Listen, you're an athlete, and I'm talking to runners. I get it. But if you can run a full marathon, but you can't touch your toes, are you really fit? if you can do all these fancy yoga poses, but you can't do 5 push-ups, are you fit? No. So fitness actually requires you to be sufficient in 4 different categories: strength, stamina, that's your endurance, flexibility, and balance. Those 4 pillars of fitness are required to qualify as a fit person. And so before you're an athlete, you're a person. And so the strength training matters. You have to focus on all these areas, not just running, strength training, flexibility, balance training. It all goes in to making you a fit person. And if you're a fit person, you're certainly going to perform better out while you're running. So back to hip flexors, and I'm going to shift this down. So you can do those standing exercises, or you can do simple. Sit on the ground, lift one leg, hold it. And here, hold it. And do it with the other. You can do it back and forth. This is actually very challenging. I look a lot happier than I am. This is hard. The other good choice is if you're at the gym with a cable machine. Cables have handles up high, straps down low. You can strap your ankle in, and anything where you're pulling against resistance in the upward motion will work that hip flexor. I see a question. Oh, can I go over the 4 things I just went over? Yes, 4 pillars of fitness: strength, endurance, that's your cardiorespiratory exercises, flexibility, and balance. So strength, stamina, flexibility, balance. Those are the 4 pillars of fitness. And you can always come join me at Fitzness. I talk about that a lot on my own channels. Okay, so that's your lifting muscles. Now we're going to go to the backside. Your glutes. Your glutes and hips are so important because what do we do with endurance? We push, push, push. We push back. Oh, hold on. Look, Daisy's helping out. Thank you. Strength, flexibility, balance, endurance. Good job. So we're pushing a lot, and that's that butt capital of the world. Look how juicy my booty is, right? No, I know it's not too juicy, but I'm built small. Nonetheless, trust me, that little booty of mine is mighty because I put a lot of effort in back there. But nonetheless, how do we work our bum? Famously, everybody knows we work doing squats, right? So squats are a really good choice for working our rear end. However, do we ever go down the course? We're starting to get to the start line. Fitz and Rudy, I'll go. Do you ever go down the course like this? Does anyone ever hop down the course like Bunny Foo-Foo? No, we don't. So instead of doing squats on 2 legs, what I want you to do is squats similarly to the way you perform as an athlete. And so you are not going to do squats on 2 legs. You're going to do squats on 1 leg. Single leg squats are preferred because you perform on 1 leg. In fact, there's probably never a time in your 5K or half marathon or full marathon where you have 2 feet on the ground at the same time, unless you're sucking wind over on the side of the course. In that case, you got your feet on the ground. So you're a single leg athlete. You want to train single leg. So those single leg squats go a long way. You can also get a box or a step, and anything you do climbing up, it's this leg on the Bosu coming up, that's being worked. Now, the Bosu is really small, but if you get any sort of step object that's knee height or lower, climb up, climb down, climb up. The more of a bend you get, the more of a hinge you get at the hip where you lift your knee up high, the more you're going to work your glute as you rise up. So, glutes, squats are fantastic choices, but we also have another part of the glute called the glute medius. It's not just the pushback muscles. Your glute medius is responsible for holding on to keeping your femur in place. Your femur is the longest bone in your body, goes between your hip and your knee, and it's heavy. It's a heavy bone, and this is one of the reasons, the weak glute medius, this is one of the reasons runners have a lot of pain in their hips and their knees. And so it's interesting. Who has some sort of pain? Pain, hands up. Use your comments. Tell me if you have some pain. And I'm guessing a lot of you have some sort of pain associated with your running. Running is traumatic. It's so good for us, but it's also fairly traumatic. So look, here they come. Any advice on helping a sore glute and down the outside of the leg? I'm thinking you're saying glute. IT band probably. Hip, knee burn, yeah. So listen, runners, we often have a lot of pain, but usually when you go to the doctor, you don't have an injury, right? It's not that you fell and you had pain or you had a horrible twist. You got your foot stuck in a railroad track and you twisted and blew out your knee. Most runner-related pain is due to two things, tightness and weakness. Tightness and weakness. And so these exercises are important because if you do them and you do them often, it will help you run further, faster, and pain-free. And that pain-free, priceless. I think being pain-free really allows you to perform at your best and enjoy the sport more, because it's not fun to be in pain in any level. So most runners, if they're not doing the strength training and the stretching, what will happen is eventually they'll start experiencing some sort of pain. Nothing will have happened. It won't be the fall or the twist or the trauma. They'll just start having some sort of unknown pain and they'll ignore it. They'll think it goes away and they keep training and the pain keeps coming. And then eventually, after there's been great suffering, they will go to a very expensive doctor. And the doctor will say, hey, buddy, let's get some scans. And now you have to go get some very expensive scans. And then the reports come back to that very expensive doctor. And the doctor will say, I don't see any damage here. I'm going to send you to a very expensive physical therapist. And what the physical therapist is going to do, they're going to assess your body. And they're going to say, oh, you're really tight here. You're really weak here. And they're going to give you the exact exercises that I'm giving you today. And so pain, I get it. We all have it in some regard. Sometimes I got to tell you, my Boston training, I used to have runner pain. My marathon, no pain. Never did I have pain along the way because I was committed to strength training, committed to strength, to stretching. And so you can do this too. You can be a pain-free runner. You just got to put in the work. They say stop running. We don't listen to those people, right? Ha! And here's Jessica Craig. She's our physical therapist for the OC Marathon. And yeah, she knows this. Tightness and weakness, right, Jessica? Yeah, they will send you to the expensive scans, send you the PT, and then the PT will tell you to do what I'm telling you to do right now. PTs and I get along really, really well. It is not too late, but it's not strength training your IT band. What you're going to do is you're going to be training the other muscles I'm talking about. The IT band is not a muscle, so I really can't give you an exercise to train it. Your IT is sore because your hips are probably moving in a funky fashion and your calves are probably tight and everything's yanking on your IT band in an unusual fashion. So yes, you're going to do these exercises. You're going to stretch like a lunatic. And then we're going to make some quality progress. And Jessica, yeah, everyone listen to Jessica. Okay, Jessica, tell them what an IT band is. I'm going to get back to her. Okay, so glute medius. And I'm so happy you guys are so engaged because this stuff is really important. Glute medius holds your femur in place. So imagine like it's Halloween now. You know the skeletons with the rattly bones? If you do not have strong glute medius to hold this bone in place while you're running, you're like the skeleton with the rattly bones. And as his femur's wiggling around every step you take and your knee is bowing in, pain starts coming. And so we don't want pain. We have this magical cure for pain. It's called the resistance band. And you can get it on Amazon or at Walmart or your fitness store for just a few dollars. Now, most of the exercises I give you will require no equipment. This one is going to have you spring a few bucks, like $3, $5. You can get a whole 3-pack for $10. But you're going to put the band around your ankle. We're going to do an exercise called lateral gait. And every physical therapist loves the lateral gait. But basically, you're going to step out, step down, step together. Step. If you do a little hold here, great. And you're going to go one way, 10 steps. You're going to come back, 10 steps. It's really simple. And boy, does it look easy, right? No, it's not easy at all. In fact, normally if I do this workshop in person, I'll find the biggest, strongest guy in the room. I'll have him come on the stage and I'll put the bands on his ankle. And then I have him take about 5 steps and he starts crying. So it's always very funny when I have volunteers. But you can do it that way. Other options, straight out to the side. You just hold on to something and lift. So I like being mobile, but sometimes I mix it up and I just do lateral leg lifts. Now, you can do chicken wings because that glute medius not only brings your leg out to the side, it also rotates your leg out to the side. So chicken wings or oyster shells, they look like this. You put the band up above your knee, come to your side, and you're just gonna lift your knee or lift your knee up. Rotate it outwards. This is working that glute medius. In the same fashion, you can do what I really like to do is back to around your ankle. I like to do circles with my bands. And so I'll go out from moving forward to back, and then I'll switch directions, go from back to front. It looks really, really easy. It's not. It does a lot of burning on your booty, and it makes a big impact. And I tell you what, Jessica, you can agree with me or not, but I think if all runners did this, 80% of runner pain would be gone. I mean, it's such an important exercise. So get yourself a band and every other day. Now, I say every other day. It's important for you guys to listen and then process that. Strength training per muscle group should be done every other day. Why? Because when you strength train effectively, you're actually tearing tiny muscle fibers. We're doing damage to our muscles. And so it takes approximately 2 days for our body's little army of repair troops to target that muscle, repair, rebuild, and help you go stronger. If, let's say you do one of those silly plank challenges, right? If someone's passing along the internet, do these planks every single day for 30 days. Well, on day 1, you start the benefit, but day 2, because you've planked again, your body hasn't had the opportunity to repair and rebuild, so it's just breakdown, 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 breakdown. You do not want to work the same muscle group, at least strength training 2 days in a row. You got to have that break in between and let your body do its job so you will actually grow stronger. So this strength training for runners workout, which I provided in a link, you should do it every other day. Yes, I'm looking. See, Jessica and I, best friends. And Dee Marie targeted too. I travel everywhere with these bands. These things are God's gift to strength training for me. They make all the difference. I have probably about 20 different bands. I keep them in my purse, in my backpack, in my luggage, in my travel briefcase thing, my laptop bag. I keep them in my car. I don't go anywhere without a band. They mean that much to me. So get yourself a whole bunch. Okay, moving on. So you got your glute medius. We're promising. We did hip flexors, your lifters, squats, but we're doing those single leg. We're doing the bands in all sorts of directions for your glute medius. Now, we're going back to your quads. Now, for the quads, I really like, because again, we can go back to those lunges, right? So when you do the single leg squat, you are working your quads. I mean, lunges are the best. So it's big steps down. The big thing to remember when you're doing lunges is not to shoot forward. Okay, so you're not going to take a big step and then shoot your body forward. What you want to do is drop your back knee down. You want to make sure this front knee never crosses your ankle. Going down and up like that. So you could do a stationary lunge. You could do walking lunges where you walk down the sidewalk. You could do backward lunges. Anytime you are bending this knee and extending up, you are working that quadricep. Now, there's a machine at the gym, the leg extension. That's never been my favorite because in general, humans, we do not extend our leg against force without our foot being on the ground. And so it's debatable. Some people like the machine because it isolates that muscle, but it's just not practical. It doesn't work the way we work as athletes. So lunges. Now, some of you might say, well, where do I squeeze this in? Well, you squeeze it in. You make it happen. So either you set aside your 12 to 20 minutes for a lower body strength training workout, or you build it in at the end of your runs. So maybe you go out for a 5-mile run, and then when you want to cool down, you stop half a mile from your house and you start lunging back, right? You start lunging back. You walk past a city bench and you do your step-ups. You climb up, you step down. That's how you work your glutes. That's how you work your quads. I run with this band on my wrist. So as part of my cool down, strap it on, start lateral gating home. So it's all very practical and I mean, easy. Again, it's that no excuses type mentality. Now, some people say, well, I only have time for the run. If you only have an hour and you plan to do 7 miles, but you only got to 6 miles by 50 minutes, I think it would be far more valuable for you to sacrifice that 1 mile of running to make sure you got your strength training in. Strength training is that important. And remember, what athletes benefit from weakness? None. If you put on power, strength, muscle, you're going to be so much more of an efficient runner. As opposed to being a weakling trying to get it done, you're going to be a strong, powerful athlete with much greater force with every step. Every time you lift your leg, it will be easier because that hip flexor will be stronger. Every time you push off backwards or you're going up the hill, that strength that you've earned will be on your side. And so if you have to sacrifice anything, do not sacrifice your strength training. Don't do it. Okay? Okay, moving on. Here, we got some great comments here. I love you guys, and I love that you seem to be on board because you should be. Oh, and by the way, we're talking about athleticism and power, but here's another little sidebar. I think muscular curves are damn sexy. So do with that what you want, but I love muscular legs. So you can use comment section to talk about that. So we've got the hip flexors, the glutes, glute medius, the quads. Now hamstring curls. Hamstrings are very important too. I don't tend to target them with the strength training for runners workout, but I do like the machine at the gym. If you have bands and you can put them against the pole and pull back, work your hamstring. Okay, next step, we're moving down. Now another rule, I'm going to say a simple word, another rule within strength training is to start at your bigger muscles first and work your way down. And the reason being, we need the smaller muscles to work the bigger muscles. So it's really hard to work your glutes without incorporating your quads, right? So if I burned out the quads, made them really, really sore, and then tried to do a bunch of squats for my glutes, I might not be able to get in a killer workout. Much similarly to doing push-ups. If I burned out my biceps and triceps and then tried to do push-ups for my chest, I might not be able to really get the best chest workout. So we start with the bigger muscles first. Bigger muscles are typically closest to your belly button, and then you work your way out. And so that's why I'm starting here. Glutes, hips, working my way down. Now after the quads and hammies, this is where I want you to work. I want you to work this muscle right up here. It's called the anterior tibialis. And if you look around at a running expo, you'll see a bunch of great calves, right? Runners have great calves. We stay up on our toes a lot, and we're just typically strong in the calves. However, this muscle doesn't get a whole heck of a lot of attention. And if yours remains weak, you remain at risk for shin splints, stress fractures, and worse. And so a really easy way to work that muscle is like this. See what I'm doing? I'm tapping the toe. You can do this in line at the grocery store. Shake your booty like that. Toe taps. Toe taps is a really great way to do it. But I also love incorporating into the cool down by lifting those toes up and walking around on your heels. Yep, that's it. Walk around your neighborhood on your heels Everyone will think you've lost your mind, and that is okay. But this simple exercise here, again, will keep you out of pain. It will keep you out of suffering and misery, and it will keep you going. So this thing right here may seem insignificant, but boy, is it a big deal. So wherever you are, start lifting those toes. Just do pull. Pull that toe towards the knee, and you'll feel this muscle start firing. When it starts firing, you go, oh, I don't think about that muscle. That really works. And if it starts firing really quickly, it might be because you're fairly weak. So work on that anterior tibialis. Here we go. Got more muscles. I like the muscles. Thank you. Okay. And then for calves, calves are pretty darn easy, right? You know the drill. Up on your toes, down, up. You can do it single leg. We're not going to spend too much time on the calves because you know how to do that. All right, so we've gone from the hips all the way on down. And here's the benefit of the lunges we talked about before, is when you're doing lunges, not only are you building strength, but you're working your balance. Because anytime you go on either one foot or you get in this linear position, right here, my hips start to engage. So I'm not just standing here comfortably. I've got my hips, my knees, my ankles engaging to keep me upright. And again, balance training, something we got to do. We work the stamina with our running. Strength is deliberate. Flexibility and balance training is important. And why is balance training important? Why is balance training important? So we don't fall down. That's right. So we don't fall down. So every time you go here, you're engaging your hips, your knees, and your ankles, and that's a really good thing. You're also working your core. And so before I stated that you should work the larger muscles first, the ones inside moving out. The only caveat to that would be your abdominal and your low back muscles. And why? Because we need them throughout our strength training routine to keep us upright, right? We need them fully engaged. If you waste your abs and your low back muscle, and then you try to do a bunch of lunges and squats, you're going to suffer, especially your form. And so I'm going to start with our Erector Spinae. Those are the muscles of the low back, and they run straight up here. Erector Spinae, it means erect your spine. So here, and that makes a lot of sense, right? Does anyone have low back pain while they're running? Especially after you're running pretty far? A lot of people say yes. So usually if I'm in a live seminar, I can see the hands go up here like, yes, I get that low back pain. Well, that's because anytime you're not deliberately resting your back against the chair or bed, these muscles of your abdominal and your back are engaged. They're engaged all day. Every time you stand up, any walking you do, running, your abs and your back are working too. And so I see a lot of people focus on abdominal work, right? Abs are a vanity muscle. We see them in the mirror. And so people tend to focus a little more on those vanity muscles. The things behind us we don't see. Traditionally, we pay less attention. Now, thank goodness, big booties are very popular right now. I think that benefits us all, especially for athletics. However, the low back muscle hasn't seemed to earn big status yet. And so my advice to you is, if you have a back, if you are one of the people who has a back, you should be doing this next exercise every other day for the rest of your life. And this is not just about running. This is about you living pain-free, because I think the statistic is like 75 to 80% of American adults experience some sort of low back pain throughout the year. Yikes, that's a lot of us, and that could really be avoided. So I'm going to show you the basic exercise, and then we're going to get a little more fancy. So bridges, so easy. Oh my gosh. So you're just going to lie down, and then you're going to lift your hips. Voila. This is it. This is a magical exercise that will take you or prevent you from being a hunched over old person that's miserable, looking at the ground, holding their back all day, to an older person or even a younger person with fantastic posture and none of these issues. So right here, we've got those hips up high and you hold. Now, this is step number one on bridges. This is the basic. Do this as long as you can. and then take a break. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people who will try that move and instantly feel the strain. Whoa, that's hard. And it's okay if it's hard. You don't have to be great at everything. You don't have to be like a super pro. In fact, I love it when I give you an exercise and immediately you're challenged by it, because only when you're challenged by an exercise are you making progress. And that goes across the board. So if you're running and it's easy peasy and you can have an easy conversation, I don't know if you're making a lot of progress. If you're running and you're starting to huff and puff because you're being challenged and you think it's super hard, boom, making progress. If you go to a yoga class and there's the chick and she's got her foot up in the air in the tree, the palm tree pose or whatever, and she's not wobbling at all, she's the only one not making progress. It's the guy in the back of the room that's wobbling all over the place because he's working really hard. He's the one making progress. So if you do any of these exercises and you think, gee whiz, this is hard, don't give up. That means you're already on the right track. So basic one, this is a bridge. You can hold it for 5 seconds, relax, 30 seconds, relax. It's up to you. Go until you feel like you need a break and then take one. Now, if you like to up the ante, what you use is your levers for resistance. So again, these legs are heavy. So if you bring one straight out, look, my knees, my thighs are parallel. I can come out to the side and in. Oh, I can feel my low back engage. Here I can go up and down, in and out. Any sort of exercise or motion you want to do with those legs will tax your low back a little bit more. You can go up and down, little thrusts. You can put bands around your thighs, and you can do the glute medius exercise here. But it all starts in this nice bridge. You should be basically a straight line between your knees, your hips, and your ribs. Straight down. You like that? Yes. And at fitzness.com, I have an entire arsenal of workout videos. Again, they're all free. They're between about 60 seconds and 10 minutes long. And there are multiple bridge videos. One's a beginner bridge, one's advanced bridges, but they're free and they're available. You might as well use them. But bridges are necessary. Those are my favorite low back exercise. Another great option would be Superman. Go face down, and then you lift your arms like Superman, and you just hold as long as you like. You can put them down, lift both legs, hold. You can do all four. You can do opposites, right arm, left leg, and switch. And you can do this like you're swimming. You can swim. Anything you do where you're lifting your shoulders, your chest, and your hips up flexes you back here. Oh, you like that? Yes? I love bridges. I love low back work. Remember, if you have a back, you should be doing bridges. You should be doing Supermans every other day for the rest of your life. Can we commit to that? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to make long-term commitments, but look how simple it is. And again, it has no equipment. You can actually go to bed at night, lie down, and then do your bridge in bed. It's that easy, and it will change the way you live. The other thing I encourage you to do if you're a guy and you're sitting on your wallet, stop doing that. Find another place for your wallet. And then the other thing, so we want to keep our hips in alignment. So as we run, we would like everything to be straight, right? We want our pelvis to be equal. Our body craves symmetry on both sides. So we would like each side to work the way it's supposed to. So if I'm here, this is probably going to cause issues for my neck. I want to be here with my shoulders, right? Now I'm judging, but we want our hips to have the same type of symmetry. And there's a few things we do that really jack up our pelvis and make life very difficult. Because if our pelvis is crooked, now all of a sudden we're putting unequal pressure on our feet, on our ankles, on our knees, and that causes a chain reaction where things start to hurt. They start to break down from uneven pressure. And so one of the things we really do to torque our pelvis and our hips is cross our legs. So whenever you're sitting, try to keep both feet flat on the floor. And if you have to cross at the ankles. That'll do major justice to your hips and your pelvis. So you have a few less aches and pains, and you know, when you're torquing your body in a strange position and then you get surprised, like, I don't know why my knee hurts. Well, you've been sitting in this cockeyed position all day. That's why. And that's often why people go to the chiropractor, right? Something's out, fix me, make me straight. Now, if you go to the chiropractor as a weakling, he or she makes you straight. If you don't have the muscles to maintain that that shape, your body goes back into the wrong position. So that's why these muscles really matter, is because once your chiropractor puts you back and you've got some good glute muscles and you've got great low back muscles, your pelvis and your hips will stay in alignment because they can. All right. So we're going to go now to our abdominal muscles. And I do like teaching the ab workshop because abs are fun. They are the vanity muscles. So there's 3 different components to our abdominals, and it's not upper abs and lower abs. And that's a big misconception, as if there's a set down here and a set up here. That's not how it works. So we have your Rectus Abdominis, which is kind of a north-south muscle. And this one is worked by those simple crunching contractions, bringing your ribs to your pelvis. That's a crunch, and that works your Rectus Abdominis. Now, the rectus is one long muscle. It's not upper abs and lower abs. And the way I've learned the Rectus Abdominis is the reason people say, well, it hurts up here first. Like, I can feel it here. I just can't feel it down here. Quite often it's because that muscle is just a little bit thinner on top, a little thicker at the bottom. And if you compared it to a rubber band, if you have a thick office rubber band and you pull, that thick rubber band will kind of hold its shape. But if you have a thinner rubber band and you pull, you'll start to see it fray more easily. So that's the difference. That's why when you do a crunch, you feel it first up here. But when you do a crunch, trust, you're working your entire Rectus Abdominis. And the way we work that muscle is simply with that ribs to pelvis or ribs to hip motion. So you can do it this way. You can do it this way. You can do any sort of exercise that brings your pelvis and your hips together. So be creative, but this is the gist of the motion. It's right here. Now, the next group is the obliques, and they make kind of a crisscross fashion across maybe your belly button. And the way we work those muscles is in a crisscross fashion. So we want to bring opposite shoulder to hip. And we do that like this. So right shoulder to left hip. This works your obliques, but then this works your obliques, right? And then this works your obliques. So you can really work these muscles in infinite amounts of ways as long as you are working in a crisscross fashion. I like this, and I like coming all the way up. Full sit-ups from a sideline position. Those are your obliques. Now, the next muscles, these guys. Does anyone know what they're called? What are they called? The muscles that go across. Does anyone have the answer? Comments? Okay, it's called the Transverse Abdominis. And this muscle is right here. Now, normally, we work a muscle by flexing it, right? We contract. This is a little harder because traditionally we would have to break our pelvis and fold it forward to be able to shorten that muscle. Hey, there we go, Lisa. Transverse. Yeah. So the way we work this muscle, since we can't kind of fold inward, is we do planks. We do stability exercises. So this is a great plank. This is a great plank. Anything we do, and what you want to do is bring that belly button in. You want to suck that belly button into your back, and holding this position right here is working that transverse abdominis. I love planks. Now, some people ask, is it harder to do it on your arms or your hands or on your elbows? And the simple answer is, if you're going to do it with straight arms on your hands, I think it's a lot more taxing on your shoulders. If you're going to come down on your forearms like this, it's more taxing on your abdominals because you're working a little further against gravity. So right here, we have a bit of an angle for our abs. Right here, we're a little bit flatter where gravity is bearing directly down on our abdominal muscles. So right here, but again, with planks, you can be creative. So you can move the arms around, climb down and up, anything you want to do. All motion is going to tax those abdominals. You can do it with your legs. And then, of course, we can do side planks. I love side planks, but sometimes I feel like maybe they get a little boring. So I like to bring my lower body into it. Again, use those levers. Your arms and your legs are heavy stuff. And so get busy with them and you can multitask. Work your abs, work your back, upper body. You got your glute medius working. You can strap the bands around your ankle. You want to try a tough workout? Put your bands around your ankle and do this. You'll thank me. And then as you're designing your abdominal training, what I'd like you to do is dedicate a third of the time to each section of your abdominals. So a third of the time to your rectus, a third of the time to your transverse abdominis, and a third of the time to your obliques. I think that's a very well-rounded way to target those muscles. And again, some people say, well, I'm going to do abs every day. They're different. Nope. Abs are muscles. They're just like your biceps. They're just like your quads. You want to work them every other day. Allow that 48-hour rest period. And again, 48-ish. You don't have to be crazy about it, but try and get somewhere. If you worked out 1 o'clock on Monday, can you go in at 9 a.m. on Wednesday and get a good workout? I think you can, but it's about the 48-hour mark is what research shows is best. So we talked about that. We talked about working the larger muscles first. The other important rule of strength training is that you should always work opposing muscle groups. And so if you're going to work your bicep, you should work your tricep equally. Why? Because this is a push-pull system, and we don't want one side to be much stronger than the other side because that will lead the weaker side to injury. So if you're going to work your abs, you got to work your back. And what I would like to encourage you is no matter what, you work your back, right? So there's the lift and there's the push, equal sides. What else? Do you guys have any other questions? I've been trying to fly through this so we can get through as much of it as possible. Do we do all of these exercises in one session every other day? That's up to you. So I personally like to do my lower body workout at the same time. And again, I posted that link when I first started to my strength training for runners workout, but I've whittled it down to about 12 minutes. And so, yeah, I think doing it all together is a good idea, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you choose that you're going to work your hip flexors and your glutes and your quads on day one, and the next day you're going to do hammies, anterior tibialis, and calves, great, that's okay too. I do like the commitment to every other day. Now that's for best results, right? So if I get my wish list and Penny and Ray, they're going to do their strength training. Do I want you to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday? Yes, that's what I want you. That's the best case scenario. Can you get results doing it every third day? Yes, you absolutely can. But I have my wish list, and strength training is so important. You know, we see injuries because of weakness. We see elderly people fail because of weakness. And wait until you're strength training. You can't do it. You can head weight. And how strong, very, very important. You know, I'm very years ago with breast cancer, and thankfully I was fit going in, but prepare your body to do battle today because you never know when illness or injury will strike, and being stronger and fitter up front will certainly help your chances of recovering and rehabilitating quicker than the average cat. So get strong, make strength a priority. Maybe we'll do this for of upper body, and you know, to me, posture. You know, some people walk in the room and they have a presence. Those are the people that are normally doing rear delt exercise, or yeah, they're doing trap exercises. They're pulling, they're rowing. And then you see people walking like that. Ugh, don't be that guy, right? And how do you fix that? You do it by strength training, and you do it by stretching. You open things up. So this stuff is really important, not only to your athletics, but more importantly, it's important to your quality of life and your presentation, and everything about you is better if you're stronger. So yeah, I hope you get involved and get on board and start slow. So the video I've provided, so I've given you the exercises here. You can go and work with them independently as you wish. If you want the guidance, you know, perhaps you get just a couple reps into one of the exercises I'm leading. And if you decide that's enough for you, great. You don't have to do 10 or 20. You can start off with 3 and then wait until I move on to the next exercise and do as many as you can and take a break. The secret to success is always baby steps, right? Never push to the point of misery. I don't want you to go do this workout and then not be able to sit down or stand up for 3 days. That's totally counterproductive. I want you to do it to a point where you say, woo, I feel that, and then pull back, and then come back 2 days later and try it again. Those baby steps, I promise you, will lead to amazing progress with very little negative side effects. Okay, Kathy, maybe it's just me, but you keep freezing. That makes me sad. You know what? I have an Ethernet cooked up. I fixed the router. I'm so sorry if I've been freezing. Okay, no, it's fine again. I'm sorry. The internet, I love it and I hate it at the same time. And I was taught never to say hate, but I hope, oh, it's okay. Good. So I hope I haven't frozen much. And if anybody has any questions, ask them now. But you can always find me here at Fitzness. I'm at Fitzness everywhere, fitzness.com, and you can ask questions. And I love questions because helping you guys train smarter and more efficiently and effectively means a lot to me. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, we are going to do a giveaway now, and this one is going to be for Run for Claws. This is the holiday themed race that the OC Marathon crew puts on in December. And our question for one free entry to Run for a Claws is, what is the muscle responsible for holding your femur in place? Specific muscle. Any exercises to avoid? That's a really good question. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And if you had like a cervical fusion, I'd be able to say yes, but nothing specific. Oh, boom, comes Linda. Glute Medius. Yes, ma'am. Congratulations. You have won a free entry to Run for a Claws. Linda, this is what you got to do. You have to email info@ocmarathon.com. info@ocmarathon.com. Tell Kelsey you came up with booty time, glute medius. And remember, that's the muscle you work when you do with the bands. Tibia, no. Good guess, though. I like that you put yourself out there. Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, here they come. What are stretches that are most helpful? Okay, I'm going to show you some stretches quickly. I would very much like to do a stretching workshop with you guys too, and maybe that'll be next. But these are some of my favorite. Remember those hips are really important for lifting and pushing. I think they're also equally important for stretching. So this is my number one go-to. For running, I do a wide, let me hide that comment so you can see me. Okay, so wide knees, heels together, look like, and then drop down. So it's falling into your hips, knees wide. Yikes, guys especially will squeal a bit. If you sit back and then forward, remember heels together, knees wide, forward and back. Genius. I love the hip flexor stretch. A lot of people have tight hip flexors, and when your hip flexors are really tight, often it makes your back hurt. So boom, anything you can do to lean into this hip flexor. This is advanced. This is really advanced. You don't have to go this far. You could start here. If it hurts to be on your, you can either put a pillow under your knee, or you could just stand tall and lean into it, stretching that hip flexor. I love the glute stretch. Think crisscross applesauce, kindergarten, but go a step further. Try and get those knees as far on top of each other as you can. I'm very bendy, so I can go all the way. If you go less far, that's fine, but get here and then fold down. Yikes, that's a good one. And of course, you want to do these equal on both sides. But I love hip stretches, love good glute stretches. Again, I have them all on Fitzness. There's the hip stretches, and I lead you through those. Hamstrings, easy enough. Boom! But stretching, again, it was a high priority for me, training for Boston. And man, I woke up that morning and I spent a good 45 minutes doing nothing but stretching. I sat in my bed. I got on the ground next to my bed. Stretch, stretch, stretch. If you would like to avoid all sorts of injuries, stretching and strength training and balance training really are the secrets, or will be the secrets to your success. Look at this, Jessica. So I tell you, it makes me so happy when physical therapists sit in on my workshops, because we're on the same page, and she's the medical side of fitness. So I take healthy people, I take regular people, athletes, and help them perform better. This is what I do. She's someone who deals with people that are in pain or people that have been injured, and she supports all of the recommendations I've made, because we're on the same thing. I want to help prevent you from having to see Jessica, right? And Jessica would much rather you not come in for pain and suffering. Jessica wants you to be a happy, healthy athlete too. She wants you to run further, faster, pain-free, because you've done all of the right things to support your efforts with running. So yeah, it makes me really, really happy to work with physical therapists. And she's a good one. She's a good one. If you're in OC and you do end up needing PT for any reason, she's the one to go to. Okay. And DeMarie. So usually with injuries, we say, go to your physical therapist, but I've always been told, do not push above your head if you have a cervical fusion. That's the gist of what I know, but none of these type exercises if you've been fused. And right, avoid the fusion in the first place. Thank you very much, Warren. Of course, yeah, the tight hips are no fun, but you can make major headway. And here's the thing I need you to know about stretching is where strength training has these rules every 48 hours. There is no such rule with stretching. You can stretch all day. You can wake up and stretch. You can have breakfast, stretch again. You can stretch, stretch, stretch. The more the merrier. I have full confidence you're probably not going to overstretch. And so make it a priority. I have notes in my phone that say hip flexor stretch, and I do them. And so if I'm talking on the phone, if I'm on a Zoom, you bet your booty, I am down on the ground doing these stretches. I just like to feel good. You know, I know what it's like to have pain from injury. I know what it's like to feel sick. I don't want anything to do with those feelings anymore. So I'm willing to put in the time for me. And if the time for me is really just talking to my daughter who's away at the college like this, and we talk and I'm in this weird position, great. And that's the kind of life that I'm willing to lead. And if I'm a weirdo for it, so be it. I'm happy to be the weirdo running the race. I'm one of the only people without IT band syndrome, one of the only people without plantar fasciitis, one of the only people without sciatica. And those are not injuries. If your IT band hurts, it's probably not because you had a crush injury. That's how you hurt your IT band, is someone rams into you with their motorcycle. If your IT band hurts, it's because of tightness, weakness. The same thing goes for sciatica. The same thing goes for plantar fasciitis. And so avoid the tightness and the weakness, or repair it. It's so wonderful to know that you have control over these obstacles. If you don't want sciatica, great. Let's get your hips in alignment. Let's be strong. Let's be flexible. You can undo those things yourself, and it's free. It's all free. Okie dokie. All right, Rudy. Oh, what about my feet? I don't particularly have any strength training exercises to share with you for your feet. However, what I can tell you is good stretching on your feet is a great idea. And then pinching exercises. You could pick up little items off the floor and move them around with your toes. That's a great way. We're prehensile, right? Think about being a monkey. Monkey feet, moving things from side to side with your toes. Great idea. Massages, ideal. I love a good foot massage. Who doesn't? Roll your feet over the softball. We're going to do one, I think, on stretching and pain prevention, pain management soon. Hopefully Jessica will do that with me. Okay, Rudy says, right, Rudy. None of this applies to you specifically. And so, yeah. Yes. Everything I said is for everybody else but you. Thank you for asking. That makes me so happy, Rudy. But yeah, remember, we talked about this at the beginning is, I want what's best for you. And as an athlete, there is no benefit to being weak. Think of every athlete on planet Earth. Which type of sport do you benefit from being the weakling? Like, oh, this one's going to win. She's got no muscle tone. I'm rooting. It doesn't work that way. And so structural support, power, stability, that's why we strength train. And then, of course, not only does this translate into being a better athlete while you're running the race, but it will help keep you out of pain, keep you from falling down, prevent sprains, strains, and tears. Overall, just make you healthier, happier, more comfortable in the body you live. And so, strength training, are we convinced? Say yes. I need someone on the comment section to say, I'm convinced. I'm a believer. I'm going to get to it. And I'm going to start shutting up now. Okay, so unless you guys have questions anymore, I want to thank you for your time. Look, Philip says, yes, Lisa's on board. That's a heck yeah. I love it. 2 Lisas. Jessica, DeMarie. Oh, this is victory. This is victorious day. Everybody is committed to strength training. Okay, the other commitment I need from you is that you come out to the OC half and 5K November 6th and 7th, and you hunt me down and you give me a hug. I would love that. Yeah, Team Noisy shirts. Everybody should have one of these. But listen, I love you guys so much. It's a great opportunity. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Kelsey, for giving me the green light to teach this clinic here online. And not much makes me happier than teaching fitness. And I got to do it tonight. So woohoo! All right. Big ol' hugs coming your way in just a couple weeks. We have a few more shows to do between now and then. And I will miss you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Olga. Can't wait to see Warren. Philip. Mwah. All right, guys, go to bed. It's 10:30 here in Florida. I should probably go to bed too. I love you all. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, I love the joy from this workshop. It's making me very happy. And share it with your friends. Oh, thank you, Jessica. See, Jessica and I are going to be best friends. You're welcome. You're welcome. This makes me happy. I don't want to turn it off. You guys are such sweethearts. Okay. And this is the other thing. You can do it with your your strap. Okay, Amazon. They're like $3. Get one. Good night, everybody. See you soon.